Hey, it's Paul Banis with GreatDad.com, and I'm here with a new series that I call Great Dad Talks Resilience. And this is really meant to be a series of practical tips for dads to model resilience to their kids, but also to become more resilient in the face of everyday challenges at work and at home. And today I've got my first guest, Dr. Ravi Iyer, who's got a wealth of experience and has a point of view on resilience that I think you're going to want to hear about. So welcome, Ravi.
Hey, welcome, Paul. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Yes, I'm so very impressed with your background, and I think it's not like you have a PhD specifically in resilience, but you have done so many things. You've been a physician for over 40 years. You've been a hospital administrator. You've worked in hospice care, which I'm sure directly leads into a lot of your philosophy about
Yep,
resilience. You've
yep.
written books. You've studied COVID. I'm sure I'm missing a great deal of things,
No, it's okay.
but we talked a little bit beforehand, and part of this is really talking about a practical thing, but you've got a very conceptual yet very practical point of view on resilience. Should we just start there about maybe what you've seen about resilience in your past, and then what your philosophy is?
I have two great children, and they are brilliant kids. But
Spoken like a
last,
grandfather.
no, they're, my daughter is 31. She just got married last month, exactly 30 days ago. And my son is 27, and he just got his first major job, which is he blew us all away with what he landed. But the journey to this happy tale did not start off with success. It started off with, in my daughter's case, it was a smoother journey. My son had a rougher, more rocky road to his success. And as a dad, I had to be a space for him to show up as able. Let me just do one thing. I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode so it doesn't. Yep, there we go. So the key that I had to teach my son was resilience, and I want to talk about resilience from the principles that I discovered with working with patients, competing with my police dog in police dog championships.
Mhm.
And over the years, I discovered what makes somebody suffer through adversity and mount it, or even if they don't surmount it, really mount a very convincing fight all the way. And what makes somebody just give up and
Mhm.
fold. And I distilled it down to two things. Actually, it's three, but the two are the principles. The third is a mentor. So, but to show resilience, to learn resilience, one, you need to have a sense of self, a sense of grounding identity. If you don't know what you are really alive for, if you do not know why you are on this planet, why you are alive, then you don't have a ground to stand on to face adversity. So, the first thing that a person needs to face life is a sense of self, a sense of identity. And that is the paramount task for a mentor to give to a mentee. And today I'm going to talk to you about these three things: the grounding identity, or I sometimes call it the grounding narrative. The second is hope. And for the mentor who's coaching the mentee, I'll talk about the principle of mirror. And so, coming to grounding identity, that each person, each one of us have to know what it is that we stand for, what it is that we are alive for, what it is about us that is not up for negotiation, that is not for sale. That principle, whatever it is, it differs from person to person, but whatever it is the core of their being, and they need to know that.
And so
And
is this similar to what GDC&x talks about the why, or is this in any way
yeah,
different
yeah.
than this
Just
the
like
why?
companies need a why,
Yeah.
human beings need a why. Simon Sinek says that but it is an ancient principle. If you don't, Archimedes said, give me a ground to stand on and I'll move the world. And he was talking about it from the point of view of a lever.
Right.
So, he has to stand someplace to exert the force on a lever. And he says, you give me a ground to stand on. But on a philosophical level, it principle of you need a ground to stand on, and you can move mountains, you can
Mhm.
move the world. So this ground to stand on is this principle of why. Why do you exist on this planet? What, and I try very much in my coaching to stay away from theological principles, even though I have a deep faith myself. But if I were to use my faith, I would say, why did God put you on this planet? For what? Did you find out why you're here? For what? So, I try not to use theological principles. It's you can you not, simply because it's quite effective to talk to people at the level at which they, rather than a conceptual zone of a deity that is higher than them, because all deities are essentially concepts. And rather than going into a conceptual, talk to them right at the level at which they live, which is their direct experience. No, yeah.
Well, how does the why also have a relationship to personal values, or is personal values digging deeper? I mean, is that part of resilience linked with
Personal
the why?
values come out of the why.
Why? Okay.
So the why is deeper than value.
Yeah.
See,
Okay.
for a value, something has value with relation to me. If I don't exist, there are no values.
Right.
If there were no human beings on this planet, what does it matter that the virus went around and caused disease? Disease has value only because there is someone getting sick with it. If there was no one falling sick, it don't matter. So that's the whole point. So values exist for a person. So you have to dig deeper than that, than a value. The value emanates out of the individual itself. So each person has to make a decision. What is it that he exists for? What is the reason for his existence? And that reason can be a concocted reason. But once it becomes a concocted reason, like I can make a reason, like the reason for my existence is to support my family. Now, the minute you have that kind of a reason, that's fine. You can build a life out of it, as long as you understand that if for some reason, if the family disappears, you are left without a reason for existence.
I think, yeah, I think a lot of listeners would definitely go to that. Like they have what they may perceive in midlife to be meaningless jobs, and they may be thinking right now, like my why or my big mission in life is not to go and balance books at a Fortune 50
Yeah.
company and sit in a.
So
But
sometimes people will pick up a why that is what I call a transient why, a temporary why, a
Mhm.
why that does not stand the test of time.
Okay.
When that, and they may spend 15, 20 years on that why. There may be a person who says, I joined this company and this company is my why. All right. And then suddenly one day they find that they have been worshiping the false god. Their why just evaporated. And then they feel extremely disoriented and they don't know what to do. And if they are fortunate, they will find a deeper why and a new why, and they will go to the next why. But there are a few people who find some why that is very fundamental, that is not easily perishable. And those kind of whys will sustain you through life. So
Right.
they,
I'm thinking of larger missions, like
yeah, yeah.
helping out
Like for
people.
me, I had a why, and my why is to empower people. That's it.
Mhm.
So that is a why that won't really go away easily.
But I imagine when you first started out as a physician, that why might have been more helping people, healing
No,
people.
I mean, I acquired that why when I was about 14, and that's why I went into
Wow.
being a physician. I just felt it and I did
Right.
it. But not everyone does it. But when I found it, I said, you know what? This is what I would like to live. I would like to make my life about empowering people. And
Mhm.
that this is the people, I suddenly felt that there was no value in a life without empowerment. And I felt that the act of empowering people automatically empowers me. So this is worth doing.
Right.
And then all I did was I found an avenue to do it, but the why did not change all my life. Now, there may come a time when I may be put in a situation where I may be deprived of the resources to empower people. I may get a stroke, I may do something, and then I may no longer have the resources or the tools necessary to empower people. When that day comes, if that day comes, I will face it at that time, but it is still a worthwhile why.
Right.
But for me to have resilience against the adversities and challenges of life, my why is essential.
Yeah.
My why gives me some ground to stand on and face the challenge and give me some basis to exist.
Right. Okay. So then
The second thing is I need to have some hope that this challenge that is coming to me, that I will have some ability to overcome it. And that hope is predicated not just on wishful thinking. There needs to have been at some foundational level and in my past experience, some example of me having had a victory of some kind. May not be of the same magnitude as the challenge I'm facing today, but there needs to be small victories in the past that prove to me that I can win.
So is what the takeaway for somebody if they had a why and then they found they failed over and over again, does that mean that there's a disconnect with their why and that they need to reassess the why or the reason?
So when you have this situation where you know your why, but you're facing with repeated failures, then you need a mentor, the third thing.
Okay.
The mentor acts like a mirror. A mentor acts like a mirror in that he shows you who you are, he shows you your why, and then he shows you what you can be. So he's a mirror. Mirrors show us who we are now and what we can be. We use mirrors to comb our hair, to fix our mustache, to put up makeup. And we begin that process by looking at the mirror and knowing who we are right now. And then we add stuff to our faces to become who we can be. At the end of the makeup process, you have a beautiful lady or a handsome man, and so on and so forth. So I use this mirror analogy. It works very well for me to explain the process of mentoring. And all fathers are mentors. The problem is there is a fine balance in a mirror that, see, some mirrors will reflect only what you are and will not mask what you can be. But every now and then you come to a mirror that is a magnifying mirror. You use the mirror for shaving, and it's a concave mirror. It magnifies. Right. So those kind of mirrors magnify who you are.
Okay. So is the mentor for you, the mentor, I mean, I guess in the classic sense of the mentor is on your side is maybe helping you through a corporate situation or medical school or something else. Is that the same thing as a coach, or is that a different
Always role? All mentors are coaches.
They're coaches.
All mentors are I mean, a mentor, coach, they are all juxtaposable terms. They move from one to the other. A mentor is a bigger version of a coach. A coach can sometimes be focused on acquisition of a very defined set of skills. A mentor is actually looks upon you and wants you to develop as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
A mentor is concerned with your development in your biggest, widest, largest sense.
Yeah, well, I think some coaches would like to think that they do that to that role.
Some coaches do that.
Yeah,
they blur the line between mentoring and coaching. Yeah, right. They assume that bigger role, but a mentor is always bigger than a coach.
Okay.
But the coach, so a mentor has everything that a coach has, and a coach sometimes can become a mentor too. But a mentor is always a larger version of a coach. Now, so when you are acting as a mentor and you reflect upon your mentee, the strengths and weaknesses that they have, sometimes mentors sometimes will expand the weaknesses and make it appear bigger, and that can pull someone back if the amount of hope in that person's life has not been much. Then magnifying the weaknesses can hold you back.
Right, right. Definitely.
So, so it is these three things: knowing your why, having hope, and feeding hope, and pushing you forward to a vision of the future of what you can be. That is the total package of moving someone forward.
Well, I really appreciate that perspective, because I think a lot of dads, and myself included, we kind of bumble through a lot of fatherhood, and then we kind of have high hopes at the end that everything's going to be all right. And a lot of what we talk about on this show and on GreatDad.com is
So,
about being more deliberate,
I
being more
want to give
intentional.
I want to give an example from my own two children. Sometimes a father can be a very good mentor for one child, but is not able to reflect effectively who that person is and what they can be for the second child. And that is not a flaw of the father, it is just the way the person on the receiving end is able to interact with the mirror that the father is. So in my case, I was able to be a very good mentor for my daughter, my older daughter, but for my son, it was a rockier road. I was not able to mirror. So eventually I felt that the best chance for me to help him grow would to just be a silent space without ever, just letting him know that he is okay the way he is, whatever he is. And let's move on. Don't worry, don't ask me what you need to do. I trust you to figure it out and go on. And he found a wonderful girl who served as the perfect mirror for him to find out who he was and who he can be. And once he did that, he started shooting forward.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So,
Yeah.
so that in essence is basically coaching 101 or
Yeah.
mentoring 101.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been very interesting and a great starting point for this complimentary podcast that we're going to be doing. So, Dr. Iyer, Dr. Ravi Iyer, you've got your website is at driyer.com. That's DRIYER. We'll put that in the show notes. And you've also got this book that I'm really, maybe this is a talk for another time, but The Reaper's Dance: 1,000 Days of COVID, and talking about the repercussions of the reverberations of COVID. That must be just a fascinating story. I'm very interested in that subject, because I think we're going to be living through that for a generation.
Yeah, that was actually a story of leadership of an entire community through the pandemic.
Yeah.
That was what it was about.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. From my side, if you're interested in resilience, you're interested in talking more about resilience or the challenges that you're facing today, go to GreatDad.com/go and set up a free session with me, and I'll talk you through your current problems and see if there's any way I can help you. So again, Paul Bannister, GreatDad.com. Thank you very much, Ravi, for joining us today.
Thank you.